Hey, this is Chad with Drawn and Cornered. It is Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. We have gotten to the week now that will be the 20th anniversary of September 11th, will be happening over this weekend. And the echoes from Joe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan are still very present in everybody's mind. There are still Americans there. There's still plenty of SIV holders there. There's still plenty of allies and such that are there. The stories that we're getting out of Afghanistan are seemingly getting worse, between the things that are happening to interpreters and folks that worked with America being killed and slaughtered in their homes, shot in the head. We've got planes full of people ready to get out of Afghanistan that the Taliban is now holding, restricting from moving. The reports there are getting worse and worse. Apparently, the leverage that the Biden administration thought they would still have over the Taliban and release of Americans is dwindling, if it ever existed at all. This has resulted, the failed handling, the communications bungling, all of that has resulted in major drops in Joe Biden's approval rating from the low to mid 50s all the way down to the upper 40s, which puts him in league a little bit with where Donald Trump was at this time. And remember, Trump was considered one of the most divisive and polarizing presidents that's ever existed, and Joe Biden's now hovering sort of in that area. So this has done major damage to the Joe Biden administration and essentially their clout moving forward. The reason why that's a problem is that he's going to need that clout to push through the massive spending bills that have come across, between the bipartisan infrastructure bill at like $1.5 trillion and the completely wholly owned by the Democrats $3.5 trillion omnibus spending reconciliation bill that they're looking to put through, that contains just massive changes in social programs, additions to the size of the federal government and what the federal government is controlling and has its fingers in. Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, has said he's not doing the $3.5 trillion, had a op-ed last week talking about how it's just irresponsible spending, essentially, which makes him a massive fulcrum point for the Democratic Party, because with only 50 votes in the Senate, they have to have Joe Manchin if they want to be able to pass this bill, even with reconciliation. And right now, it seems like he's completely unwilling to do it. The problem is that progressives had only agreed to the $1.5 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill if the $3.5 trillion bill also got pushed into a vote. So it's possible that Joe Manchin could stall both of these bills pretty quickly, and any sort of long-term view of these only gets worse and worse. As the days pass, the options to get either one of these bills passed dwindles, especially as we start moving towards 2022. Now, Joe Biden would like to be able to use some of that clout that he doesn't have to put pressure on these Democrats, saying, hey, I'm wildly popular. You want to go along with me if you expect me to campaign for you, if you expect me to voice for you, expect me not to fight you in the media. The problem is he doesn't have that. This is part of what I considered the calculus initially for his getting out of Afghanistan by September 11th, why he pushed so hard to maintain that date, because he thought this was going to be a political win. The Biden administration thought they would be able to celebrate September 11th, saying, hey, we accomplished a mission, we're all out, everybody's good, we are no longer in Afghanistan, rah, 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 because the American people broadly supported that move. I want to say it was like 70% supported getting out of Afghanistan. Everybody was way behind it. The problem is that because he got out so poorly, something like 60 or 70% disagree with how he got out, which killed any sort of bump or joy people might have had about leaving Afghanistan. Now, maybe that changes over the long term, but he's only got about 1 year to make that change set and settle in, because the elections in 22 right now look like they could go significantly red, because Joe Biden's administration has been so terrible. I mean, just across the board. You talk about the border, you talk about his response and his capabilities on COVID, which he said he would beat. He had a plan for it. He knew he was going to defeat it. Hasn't happened. And you can say that's the Republicans' fault for not masking up and all the others, but it's not happening. It's not being defeated. There's reports out now that something like 80% of the people have some level of immunity towards COVID. So it seems like things are going the right direction. Delta is obviously throwing a massive monkey wrench into that, but there is the possibility of treating COVID as a positive. The problem is that they can't let go of that as an issue because it works for them, because it's a way to hammer the right, because it's a way to hammer people who are otherwise not interested in their policies, because it's part of the reason why the 3.5 trillion stimulus has to go through. They have to hold on to COVID rather than claiming that as a win, which it could be. Saying that essentially the vaccine is out there, we have the capability of giving it to everybody, and the vaccine is the silver bullet. It is the way to be all but impervious to COVID. But they can't claim that victory because then it takes away power on the other side. So instead, they try to claim victories like getting out of Afghanistan. They try to claim victories about, look what's happened to the border. They try to claim victories about, look what's going on with the economy, which also we're getting terrible news about. The latest jobs report came out, supposed to be something like 750,000 new jobs added. We only hit about 200,000, which is just a massive loss comparatively speaking. It's just so incredibly wrong about their forecasting there, and that says that with 10 million jobs still open, people are not going out. There's an issue with getting people back to work, and you can claim that it's because wages were never high enough. You can claim because it's Delta and everybody's terrified, but there's something going on with people not going back to work. I would argue that it has a lot to do with the government incentivizing not working. That kind of pulls away any sort of impetus people would have to get back out in that environment, especially if they are scared. These are all things that are happening under Joe Biden's administration, and all things that people would broadly consider not going the right direction. There's a big swing between Republicans, independents who are very important for Biden, even some Democrats that are saying that the way he's handling a lot of these things is not working, is not going the direction that we want it to go. And that's going to create big issues for any future bills, for any future policy moves, for anything they want to do going forward, because a lot of the sheen of the Biden administration already has been blown off of this. He is no longer the empathetic president. He is no longer the competent president. He is no longer the capable guy out there that everybody initially thought they were electing. The mask is off. The wizard has been found behind the curtain. There are some major problems in this administration, and how he handles this next week and the movement forward as far as any policy will be a big step towards understanding what happens for the next couple of years in this administration. Thank you for watching Drawn and Quartered. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you like this sort of daily little scoop of news and analysis, definitely subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow.